I thought we had already concluded this topic, but no. I think there are lots of people out there who are very, very willing to promote mischief. So, we are going to bring back this topic. Who was EzeChima? Where was EzeChima from? Is he Igbo or is he a Benin man? Who are the descendants of EzeChima? Where are they found today? Are they of Igbo origin? Where did they migrate from? Why do they call them Ndi Onicha-Ugbo? We have posted videos, which I would like you, of course, to take a look at our channels and watch, showcasing the history and origin of the man EzeChima, how he migrated from Ado, somewhere in Ado Ekiti, today's Yoruba land, and settled first in Benin, where he was an Iyase to Oba. I will play videos from our sources in Benin so that you can confirm this claim.
There was a period, a long period, when the Iyase title in Benin was vacant. Nobody occupied it for almost 60 years. When it was revived by Oba Orogbo, are you following me? Oba Orogbo revived the title of Iyase. He gave the title to his trusted friend from EzeChima in the present day Onitsha local government. He was not a Benin man. His name was from EzeChima. So for his name he was Eze. So every Iyase after that man now greeted Iyase. You follow? Iyase. That is attributing the restoration of the title of Iyase to Eze, the man who came from EzeChima.
After serving as Iyase to Oba and there was trouble, he moved homewards with his children, who today are found in Obio, Ezi, Issele-Uku, Onicha-Ugbo, and also you will find them in so many other communities in Onitsha North local government area of Delta State today. Now I saw comments of people saying Onitsha and so many other communities in western parts of Igbo land were founded by a Benin man, and I asked, who is this Benin man? Is it EzeChima? Because EzeChima was never a Benin man. Today I'm bringing to you an interview, exclusive interview with one of our brothers who is from Issele-Uku. His name is Charles Iloba. Listen to him. Because why Afai?
Okay, Afambo Onyeka Charles Iloba from Issele-Uku, precisely.
Odema, Osnafa Onyeka Charles Iloba or Issele-Uku ko boyo na idumuke bo ni Issele-Uku.
Ute. I bụ Ute, no say.
Biko nye nji kpọsho Issele-Uku bụ maka na esemokwu bịa dị na social media. Ndị mmadụ na-ekwuzi n'Issele-Uku abụzị na ofu n'ime anyị dịka ndị Enuani. Abụ na we ndị Igbo na ndị Benin kwa bụ na-esi we anidu bịa bụ obodo bịa biri. Abasị na ma chọsho Issele-Uku. Mọdụ be na anọ ya gba na ya afa na mena adị ka ekwu nene nye ọbụla gbasa nye na ya ka ekwu tata ọjụ nene ma ajụ gba ajụ nene nye ọbụla ndị I just nọ n'ikpe abụna a ga-ahụ ke njụka bụ naanị ka ise si dị ka ọ gwa m ka o si dị naanị ka obodo ni bụ Issele-Uku si dị dekwe si bịa afa nwa ni bụ ise ke ka ọ pụcha nye nwere ike kọwa na anyị gwa dị ka onye dị mmadụ na ya bụ obodo bụ ise mbụ inwekwa ike sụọ n'oyibo ya sụọ ndị dị nwere ike sụọ n'oyibo sụọ n'ọnụ ise achọkwa na anụ ibi asụ ise.
Okay, Dalunu. First of all, Issele-Uku name has been changed, I think up to like 24 or 25 times.
Wow.
So Issele-Uku was not the first initial name. So there were other names before Issele-Uku. And before I move into the historical epoch and the chronological distortion about Issele-Uku, I want to highlight some areas in those two affirmations I just mentioned now. Issele-Uku has different settler. Not every community from Issele-Uku, or not every individual as you see from Issele-Uku came directly from EzeChima.
Wow.
That is just the reality. Now, when I said I want to highlight a little bit about the chronological aspect of Issele-Uku, there has been some certain distortion about the chronology of Issele-Uku. Who came first? Who were the first settler? Or who are the aborigines? Now, there was a discrepancy some few years back between Ogboli and Umu EzeChima due to who is the kingmaker and who is not the kingmaker. There was a very big discrepancy, and that was during that period. That was the first time Issele-Uku had two different festivals because of this crisis. Now, the first settler, which I know, or let me start from Ute precisely because I'm from Ute. Okay. Ute came alongside with the Demoka. And those of Demoka, you find them in Ogboli like Idumo Sudi, Idumo Beme, and some part of Iduma Mibo. We came along with Edemoka in 1248 AD.
Wow.
Why EzeChima, which is today the royal clan that is in charge of every traditional activity, came 70 AD. The distortion in this chronology is that those who have been writing keep on writing a certain chronology about Issele-Uku. They all missed the point and the time on event which it all happened. I will say Issele-Uku precisely was first founded by Manota. And Manota came from Ire. Manota had 3 daughters. He had no son.
Please, can you highlight this Manota? What's the spelling of the name Manota?
Manu Ota.
Okay, Manu Ota. Okay, continue.
So, Manota was the first person. As of the era Manota came in, there was no kingdom. It was just a segment of different clans who made up Issele-Uku of today.
Yes.
So, as the year passes by, the migrants, those who migrated east-west to back again to the those who migrated from east to the west,
yes,
back again to the east. There were some certain things that happened during the era of Igodomigodo and Igbo Kingdom.
Yes.
That was where EzeChima moved. But something happened during that crisis. EzeChima had to return back. Though there has been some distortion according to what really happened to EzeChima. Some said he had an affair with one of the Oba daughter. Some also said he had an affair with the Oba's wife. So there is a lot.
Some also said his allies flogged the queen mother.
Exactly.
And then they were asked to move.
There were a lot of conflicts during that era. So out of here, EzeChima has no choice. He decided to move back eastward.
Is EzeChima an Igbo man or a Benin man?
EzeChima is an Igbo man. He's an Igbo man.
Okay.
He's an Igbo man.
So because of the crisis, he decided to move
back
eastwards.
Okay. But unfortunately, he didn't cross the Niger. So he decided to stop at a certain settlement establishing. The first place he stopped was Obio.
Okay.
Obio being the first daughter of EzeChima. The first son, Ohezi, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I think Ohezi. Why the last child, which is Olibo?
The last child is Olibo. That is this one that came to Issele-Uku.
Yes. Olibo.
Interesting. So how then, sorry to cut you, how then does the last child claim to be the head of EzeChima clan? Okay,
it all started like this. Ohezi, when he was alive, I think he had some misunderstanding with the father. So, you know, in our tradition, once the first son died, automatically the second son inherits everything owned by the father.
Yes.
So Ohezi was alive when the father died.
Okay.
But before he died, he has already established different communities, which is today Onicha-Ugbo, Onicha-Uku, and Olona.
Ohezi, where did he found? Is it Obio or Onicha-Ugbo?
No, he left Obio.
Okay.
He founded the Onicha-Ugbo. He founded the Onicha-Uku and Olona. And that is why if you go to Onicha-Ugbo today, you see from that their entrance.
EzeChima.
This is Okpala EzeChima, which we Issele-Uku know. So now, where the whole issue lies is, how did they came up with this EzeChima is from Benin? And they said it's actually from Benin. Because one thing about falsehood is that when it becomes an institution, truth seems like a rebellion.
Yes.
So if you allow that those who created this illusion of truth, if you allow it to strive for a very long time, one thing about repetition is that the more you keep on repeating something,
it will look like
become more.
Our people say that now look more than that.
Exactly. So when you keep on repeating something, it become more true, regardless whether it is or not. So that is one thing about the illusion of truth. So over the years, people have been writing distortion about Issele-Uku and changing some of the chronological aspect, which has to do with the time and sequence which things happened.
It happened, yes,
back then.
So what we have established here is that first of all, somebody was already well settled.
He was well settled
in
Issele-Uku.
place called Issele-Uku today.
Exactly.
And that person is from Uri.
He's from Uri, Manota.
And that Manota lived in Obori.
Yes.
Now, in later years, this was in 12th century you are talking about.
1248 AD.
But that in the 17th century,
17 AD.
17th century AD, EzeChima, who is an Igbo man, had a problem in Benin where he was a chief, right?
Exactly.
And then he decided to move back home eastwards.
Yes,
exactly. It was on his way that he stopped at Obio, as you said.
Exactly.
And then the first son of Iyase, who also went ahead to found other communities like Onicha-Ugbo or Bompa and the rest Umu EzeChima communities. But that the last child was the one that moved to he said that is Igbo.
Exactly.
Was the last child of EzeChima. Is the one who founded Issele-Uku. How then Issele-Uku began to claim headship of Umu EzeChima clan is why I have this our brother here to explain to us. What led them to start claiming headship? Is it because Iyase had a problem with the father, or there's something more?
Yeah, historically there were some discrepancies before he died. He had some little misunderstanding with the father. So due to our father, our grandfather, they were so disciplined that if they should tell you do this thing, do it exactly the way they wanted it. But if you decide to keep on becoming an irascible child,
them to do
violate so when you violate a lot of things to them, their own law, they will take it unlikely. So Iyase died when he was alive, when EzeChima was alive. So Okpala within the Igbo tradition, you transmit the first son will transmit the Okpala automatically. If there's any second son, the Okpala automatically transfer to the second son. So unfortunately, Olibo happens to be a very good and close child to his father. So Olibo now had the opportunity to establish his own kingdom, because EzeChima moved even from Obompa down to Ezuzo. There's a place in Ezuzo in Issele-Uku, and even down to I think it came back a little bit down to Onitsha. That's Onicha-Ugbo.
Onicha-Ugbo.
Fine. So EzeChima founded all those places,
but he did not cross the Niger. He did not cross Oshimili or Mambala with them. It was his descendants that crossed.
But EzeChima personally himself was the one who founded Onitsha.
Okay.
Because in his
sojourn, Onitsha is also listed.
Yes, part of EzeChima. So in his sojourn to his life, everywhere he moved, he migrated and settled. He established
a community.
So that was how this whole thing started about EzeChima. Now the lies that has been flying for a very long time on social media has to do with where exactly is EzeChima from. Some even went as far as wrote EzeChima.
EzeChima. That's what I've seen on Twitter.
You see,
fans, you have seen some of the videos trending on Twitter and other social media platforms. That is not even EzeChima. That it's EzeChima.
Yes,
that's what some people say, and that is a Benin man. So he has raised a very interesting line that the person who founded Issele-Uku is not EzeChima, and in fact is not even Prince Owadia, because we recently saw a video which I will play here for you to see, a video of some of our brothers who went as far as Oba of Benin's palace to pay homage, and they introduced them as people from Edo Nirisi Issele-Uku. That is how they introduced Issele-Uku, and then they said the community founded by Prince Owadia. I wonder if somebody introduces Issele-Uku as Edo Nirisi Issele-Uku, how will the person introduce Issele-Uku? Will it be Edo Nirisi Issele-Uku? So can you please throw more light on this Edo Nirisi Issele-Uku?
All right, you know, one of our major problems is identity crisis.
Yes.
And everybody wants to identify with whosoever they want to identify. I myself, personally speaking, I will tell you for the fact, let me just shock people a little bit. Ute migrated from Benin.
Wow.
Which was known as Ute. And we still have Ute Mirikona in Imo State. Because there were a lot of people who came to Ute. Some even went back to some part of Untold. Because I could recall during my grandfather era, some people come from Ute-Ugbo, all those Utokbu. They come once in a while to convene meetings. But along the line, they all lost track. So we couldn't know where our exact paternal lineage started from. But we all know that everywhere you found Ute, it all has to do with migrant for Benin. So there were mix of, there was intermarriage. There were those who went back to Imo State, who didn't came back, and that is why Issele-Uku has one of the smallest community. But Ute as a name is very big, it's very large in the whole Anioma Kingdom. So you see, the issue of those who went to Benin, I don't have anything against them. That is who they choose to identify. They choose to identify as.
But who is Prince Owadia? Is there any such character in the foundation of Benin? A man called Prince Owadia.
Prince Owadia, according historically,
yes.
When Manota, one of the daughters of Manota left, because back then there was no kingdom as of 1248 AD when we came, because it was, in fact,
just pockets of settlements.
You know, one thing about Igbo race is that they don't conquer and they were not conquer. So when Prince Owadia came with his people, they were, I think there were kind of intermarriages that occur. In all the eastern region, that's all the Igbo speaking region, there's a certain thing the king used as a staff of office.
Yes, we call it Ofo.
Which is not done in any of which the Benin entirely don't use.
No, they don't.
You understand? So how did the Ofo, because Prince Owadia never came with Ofo.
Yes.
Someone gave the Ofo out, and the Ofo left Ogboli precisely from the clan due to these discrepancies between Manota and his brother, because his younger brother knew quite well Manota had no male child, so he was just conspiring, looking for a means to overthrow Manota. So Manota had to just present that offer to one of his daughters, I think the elder daughter, if I'm not mistaken, that whosoever you marry shall automatically become the king. Fortunately, when she left, the family she eventually found herself has a lot to do with the Prince Owadia family. So that was how the intermarriage happened, and he presented
the offer. So it's not as if it was Prince Owadia who founded this.
No, Prince Owadia never founded.
He married the daughter of Manota.
Yes, I think
Manota is an Igbo man.
Manota is, because historically, Manota, their era influenced what we speak today as, let me just say, Igbo kind of.
Yes, it's Enuani. Igbo language, yes.
Fine. You don't found a community and your language goes into extinction.
Okay, that's true.
And what identifies people has to do with culture and religion. And you can see closeness of between
cultural relationship.
Yes, cultural relationship between we
have highlighted one now to be the use of Ofo in your traditional leadership system.
Exactly.
Does the Obi of Issele-Uku still use Ofo?
He still use Ofo.
Okay, but because the Benis are saying they are the owners of Ada and Eben. So while the Obi uses Ada and Eben, he still uses his Ofo.
Exactly.
Which one is more significant, the Ada and Eben and Ofo? Between these three items, which one is most significant?
Historically, both were significant. But as the year passes by, for a very long time, if you have observed how the king has been moving,
yes,
most of the time he moves with the Ada a lot and the Eben, as you mentioned. But Ofo is the major thing the king uses as part of his authority in his palace. He uses that Ofo a lot.
It is the Ofo that even carries spiritual authority and power, because it is the Ofo that you can ask somebody to swear by. I don't think anybody swears by Ada or by Eben, but you can be asked to swear by the Ofo, and the person will be scared. What about your market days? Do you do the normal 4 Igbo market days?
It's normal 4 Igbo market days. Yes.
And the circumcision to the Omugwo.
Exactly.
So all the things that Igbos of the Eastern Niger do, the same things are done in Issele-Uku, which is a Western Niger Igbo speaking community, as it was described. So what then is the reason why somebody will come to the internet to say that this community is not an Igbo community?
I just said it now. I just made the revelation that I myself, personally speaking, historically we all came from Benin.
Okay. From Anidu.
From Anidu.
Yes.
That was the era. And how will I put it? From Anidu, I think during the
Igodomigodo, yes.
We came with Edemoka 1248 AD.
Okay.
And we met Manota. So there were some people we came along with, which you will find them in Ogboli, like Idumo Sodi, Idumo Beme, and some part of Idumo Amibo.
These people they call Idumo Inei, who are they?
Idumo Inei are also part of EzeChima relations.
Okay.
Those who came back with him. There were other Benin people who also came along with him as of during the era of crisis, because there were a lot of atrocities and things those who came back alongside him,
yes.
Those who fled.
Because of him, maybe because they are associated with him.
Yes.
If they had stayed back, they will pay for his sins.
A lot of people came alongside with EzeChima when he was coming back. So an Olugbo first son, which is Ogbowele, has a lot in common. In fact, we reference them as the first son of Olugbo. Yes.
That's Ogbowele. As the first son of Olugbo.
Yes, as the first son of Olugbo. But back then there were some crises that happened, and that crisis led to a certain point that some parts of Ogbowele left Issele-Uku and established Issele-Uku today. That is why if you go to Issele-Uku, one of the largest quarter is Ogbowele.
Okay.
Though there were other migrants who came as well, they all lived side by side. So be the first son. Question you should be asking yourself: how come if you say Prince Owade founded Issele-Uku and we don't speak Benin, we don't understand Benin?
And the names, are there elements of Benin names?
Yes, during that era there were.
Can you think of any now?
I can't. Let me give you an instance.
Give me.
My great grandfather, Adegu.
Okay.
You see the name Adegu?
Adegu, yes.
He was known as Adegu Birikanko.
Okay.
Because he was the chief warrior during the Ekumeko War. So he fought alongside Obiebune there. So he was very, very fierce.
Until Obiebune stopped fighting with us. Because record has it that it was Obiebune who sent a message to Reverend Father Zappa in Asaba to say, I have heard what you did, what the soldiers of God did in Asaba. Please let it not be carried out in Issele-Uku. We was among the first set of people that are indigenous collaborators during the Ekumeko War. But let us not drift. Let me read this historical account for you. It is from Professor Emmanuel Nwafo Modi, a professor of history at Delta State University, Abraka. He wrote about EzeChima. The EzeChima account comes in various forms. Each of the communities that make up the EzeChima clan has its own version, but some points are common to all. The groups tend to agree that they were led out of Benin by EzeChima, that is King Chima, during the reign of Oba Esige, that is in the early 16th century. They, however, disagree on the cause of their flight. One version recorded by Okpono associates the flight with an unsuccessful bid for the Benin throne by Princess Edelayo. The account claims that she was married to EzeChima and could not accede to the throne because she was in her menses. she assumed the title Eze, king, and being Chima's wife, the names Eze na Chima, that is Eze and Chima, shortened to EzeChima, were used to refer to Princess Adelayo and her husband Chima. Thus, the king, according to this version, refers to Princess Adelayo, while the event is said to have occurred before Esigi acceded to power. Benin sources, as recorded by Eyareba, however, mention Princess Adelayo in relation to events preceding Oba Oluwa's ascension to the throne, that is in the last quarter of the 15th century. This account, however, is silent on EzeChima episode. Besides, the Eze title is not known to the Benin, but instead is peculiar to Igbo language and political culture. Chima is the shortened version, but you have seen from the Benin versions of the story and from the Igbo version and from historical accounts that EzeChima, as you have just said, is not a Benin man but an Igbo man who was in Benin, had misunderstanding with the Oba and then moved eastwards back home. And in company of that EzeChima were people like the people who founded Umu. So it's interesting to know, and I want to thank our brother for bringing us these historical accounts. There are names you mentioned here, I've never heard them before. I am from Ubuluku, a neighboring community to Issele-Uku. The first king we can remember of Issele-Uku, I don't even know if he was a king, was Obioribo. As an Ubuluku person, I am from Ubuluku. One of the kings that we know famously in Ubuluku that ruled Ise was Iyase, that we call him Obioribo. We even have a saying that no Biobola says Iyase can well know. So I want to ask our brother from Issele-Uku, since he is interestingly from Oboli quarters, Ute, and the Ute people are part of Oboli now.
We associate, but we are autonomous community.
We are autonomous.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So who is Oboli? Obioribo. Sorry.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Obi Olibo should be Manota, if I'm not mistaken, because I think that was the only king they had prior before the advent of or the migration of the Benin people who came, both the Prince Uwade you mentioned,
yes,
and co. So I said initially that there was no kingdom.
Okay. So there was definitely no king.
No, I mean there was no kingdom that I would say that was overseeing the entire of Issele-Uku today. So there was no, everybody was just having his own segment yes, where they just said to establish their own clan.
I understand perfectly what you're saying.
So that was what it was. So but that was what Manota did. And historically, you know, the Igbo race, in terms of Igbo raising, is being done mostly by the elders and councils, the
like Opala
and Umuada. So that was how. So the question we should be asking ourselves, if actually, because Issele-Uku beneath influenced a lot of things in Issele-Uku, but they couldn't take away the language. So who were the first settler? These are critical questions. I said Ute and some part of Oboli who migrated from the Benin, we migrated 1248 AD. Why EzeChima came in 17 AD?
Yes. While you people who came in 1248 even met this man Manota.
You see? Okay. So that has been the discrepancies about this whole thing. And I've seen a lot of, you know, when I said when force will become an institution,
yes,
truth became a rebellion.
Yes.
I've seen where they have used some word when it talks about correlations or interrelated. When we use the word lexica,
yes,
you know, it seems interrelated.
Of course, yes.
But when it becomes semantic,
yes,
that means it is also subject to interpretation.
Yes, of course.
So what may be lexica does not mean it is the same.
Yes.
You understand? Like in your means filter in
Igbo language, yes.
Why in your Yoruba language means salt.
Okay.
So if you now come across those two words, will you not say
the same meaning?
You see, that was what I said. When it becomes semantic, that means it's subject to interpretation.
Yes.
So I've seen whereby they're not trying to use some certain word about this was some certain things we adopted from Benin,
yes,
but
they don't have the same meaning.
Yes, they fail to understand that during the Igodomigo and Idu era, there was this culture, let me say language affiliation.
Yes.
That era was the era of where the Ishans, the Obiso family, the Shekiris, I think the Robos, and even
Igbos, yes.
So I think there was some certain language that was adopted. We have what we say, there is something we call cultural diffusion.
Yes.
Or cultural affiliation.
Yes.
You understand? So these are things that over the years, it has probably they adopted some of this language. Does that make it look as if that language came from that particular era? A lot of people even fail to understand that Oromiyo, who invaded that Ogiso era, the Ogiame, the then was known as Ile-Binu or the Edo era.
Yes.
They fail to understand that they couldn't change the language.
Yes.
These are other common sense we need to ask ourselves. They couldn't change the language.
They would have been speaking Yoruba.
Apart from the Oba Palace, which they greet with Oba Tokoye, they don't speak Yoruba in the palace. They speak Bini. So how can you say Oba Wade, the Prince Wade founded Issele-Uku, and the language goes into extinction?
And even if Prince Owade founded Issele-Uku,
that is, he actually founded Issele-Uku.
If he founded Issele-Uku, or even if he instituted the monarchy, is it not right that just as they have Oba in Bini, they will also have Oba in Issele-Uku?
Okay, fine.
We have had Oba.
Now let me give you how they were able to merge the whole community together. As of the time when the Ofo left Ogboli down to the royal family in which one of the daughter got married to, you know, Bini then, they were more of an empire.
Yes.
They have this way of dominating. So I think something happened during those era that led to we need to just bring everybody, because
together.
That era they were having intercommunal clash during that era. They were having, so the Benin Prince was not pleased with it. So he had no choice than to start merging the whole community to form what we have today as Issele-Uku. But Manota already has already influenced the language
to be Igbo.
So
and it is still
these
Igbo
are the
today.
first settlers.
So we have established that the language of the people of Issele-Uku has been Proto-Igbo, and that's how it has remained. It's not like they were speaking a different language.
No.
It now evolved. The language has remained the same.
Exactly.
Even the greeting. If he had instituted the monarchy in Issele-Uku, they would have also been saying Obi Atope Ise.
Exactly.
Or they will be doing it like this. But we still greet the Obiago, just like they greet other Obi in Enuani. My Obi is greeted Obiago, and we still call the Obi Abogidi, which is an Igbo word. I've described what Ogidi is. That Ogidi is like a pillar in Igbo land.
Let me even shock you a little bit. You see, in each quarter in Issele-Uku, we have 9 quarter that made up Issele-Uku. 9. Yes.
This is interesting because we have 9 in Ogwashuku, 9 in so many other Igbo settlements.
Okay.
9 Iteneni, Ogwashi Ebo Iteneni.
Okay.
So Issele-Uku is also Ebo Iteneni.
Yes.
This settles it.
Now, the 9 quarters.
It is 9 that Igbos found 9, 7 or multiple of 7. That's how it will be.
Now, this 9 quarter, each of the quarter, in Ogboli, there were those who came from Igala, but they were very tiny proportion. Some came from Bini.
Yes.
While the Igbo who were already there, the same thing you found in other quarter.
Is it possible for you to list these 9 quarters?
Yeah, the 9 quarters is, let me just start with Ogboli.
Yes.
Ute.
Yes.
Ukpa.
Yes.
Ogbowele.
Yes.
Idumaba.
Yes.
Idumini.
Yes.
Ogbenti.
Yes.
Ishepe.
Yes.
Ogbofo.
Wow. These are the 9.
And I think we even have one. Aniofu.
Wow.
I'm not mistaken. Aniofu, not Enuani.
Wow.
Aniofu.
Aniofu. That's very good. Aniofu also even explains itself that it was founded newly. In my place, we have such place. We call it Ogbofo. When a quarter moves away, a lineage or family in a quarter moves away to go and found a new place, they will call it Ogbofo or Aniofu. It has been a pleasure talking with our brother here, and I would like us to really have time to have this conversation once again. But in the meantime, I want you to take time to give us your own idea of the points he highlighted, the things he said. How many of them can you relate with, and which of them do you disagree with? If you have any disagreement, go to the comment section, drop your comments. I'm very, very certain that he will be there too to respond to you. Thank you so much, my brother, for spending this time with us. He is from Issele-Uku. He is my brother. We are really sorry that we spoke a lot of English, but it also helps us to get more audience. There are people who cannot really understand our Enuani dialect, and we have to suffer to do subtitling So because we have spoken a lot of English today, I'm sure everybody will be carried along, especially in the descendants, the one who claim we are brothers but they cannot understand our language. Thank you so much for watching our videos on Enuani Cultural Forum. See you on our next video. Thank you so much, my brother. My name is Ngozi Fortune. In case today is your first time of coming across our channel, kindly subscribe to the channel and please find more videos on our channel to watch as it suits you. Thank you.